Hi, this is Cryss, and I am filming a tutorial on how to figure out how much yarn you're going to need to make a garment. So I am making a t-shirt right now, and I'm using this yarn from Sandus Yarn. It's called Tin Lena, and it's a blend of cotton, viscose, and linen. And this is my swatch for my t-shirt. So what you will need in order to figure out how much yarn you need for a project is a swatch and the dimensions of your final garment. So my swatch, first thing you want to do is measure the length and width of the swatch. So my swatch is 5.5 inches long by 6.75 inches wide. I also need to know, so I need the length, it's 5.5. I need the width, which is 6.75. I also need to weigh my swatch. And so I've weighed this one, and I know that it is 18 grams. And I'm also going to use my length and width to figure out the area of my swatch. So I'm going to do 5.5 times 6.75, and that's going to equal 37.125 inches square. So this is all the information I will need about my swatch in order to figure out how much yarn I'll need for my project. The length, the width, the weight, and the area of the swatch. Now, the next thing I need to do is figure out the total area of my t-shirt. So this is going to be the front, and this is going to be the back. And I'm making a very simple t-shirt. It's going to be sleeveless. I'm doing a square neckline. So figuring out the area of this particular shape is not going to be very difficult. So my width is 17.5, my length is 18.5, so I'm going to do 18.5 times 17.5, and I have my calculator here. And that is 323.75 square inches. So, however, I'm going to just take out a little bit for my neck opening. So my neck opening is going to be 7.5 inches by 3 inches deep. So I'm going to do 7.5 times 3. And that's going to give me 22.5 inches square. So I'm going to subtract this from that total area I figured out. Because remember, I'm just trying to figure out the area of this shape minus this little neck opening here. So I'm just going to subtract the area of my neck opening. So 323.75 minus 22.5, and that equals 301.25 inches square. So this is the area of the front of my t-shirt. So I'm just going to do the same thing for the back. So I've got the 18.5 times 17.5. I already have that here. So I'm going to do 323.75. And now my neck depth in the back is going to be a little bit less. So it's just going to be 7.5 times 1. So I'm going to subtract the 7.5. I'll do 323. I'm not going to try to do math on camera because I don't have the nerves for that. Minus 7.5. And that's going to be 316.25 inches square. So this is the area of the back of my sweater. So now I'm just going to add these two numbers together. So I have the total area of the sweater. So 316.25 plus 301.25 equals, so let me just write that out. and I get 617.5 inches square. So this is total area of my t-shirt, okay? So I had to figure out the area of my swatch, the area of my t-shirt. Now, the math is actually quite simple. You're just going to divide, multiply, and divide. So the first thing you want to do is take the total area of your shirt. So my shirt was 617.5, and I'm going to divide that by the area of my swatch, which was 37.125. And that is 16 point, we're gonna go out to 3 decimal places, 633. Now let me explain what this number is. This number is the total number of swatches you would need to make up the entire area of your t-shirt. So if you're gonna make the t-shirt just by, assembling a number of swatches together, you would need 16.633 of these swatches to make up the total area of your shirt. So that's our first step, to figure out how many swatches make up our total area. Then we're gonna multiply the number of swatches by the weight of the swatch. So we're gonna do 16.633 times 18, and that is going to be 299.394. So number of swatches, and this number is the total weight of the t-shirt. So if I took 16 swatches that were each 18 grams, this is how much that would weigh. Then our last step, we're going to divide again. We're going to take our total weight and we're going to divide it by the number of grams in 1 ball of yarn. And for the yarn I'm using, that is 50 grams. And I get 5.988, or roughly 6 balls of yarn. I have 5 balls of yarn. So this is how I figured out that I actually don't have enough of this yarn to make my t-shirt, but that's okay because I've just made a slight change to the design. I won't be doing these cables on the back, and hopefully that will save me enough yarn to make the back of the top. Otherwise, I will have to buy 1 more ball of yarn. But that is how I figured out how much yarn I'm going to need to make my sweater. So I'm just gonna review all of that for you. You wanna take your swatch, measure the length, the width, weigh it, and then figure out the area of your swatch. Then you want to take your schematic for your top and you want to figure out the total area of the garment. So don't forget, you want to do the front, the back, the sleeves, all of the pieces of the garment. For what I'm doing, it's sleeveless, it's very simple shape, so it wasn't that difficult to figure out. And I figured out the total area of my t-shirt. Lastly, the math comes down to 3 steps. Okay, it's divide, multiply, divide. You're gonna divide the total area by the area of your swatch. Then you're going to multiply the number of swatches by the mass, the weight of 1 swatch. And then you're going to divide that total weight by the weight of one ball of yarn. So I did come up with a mnemonic. It's just very silly. So it's divide, multiply, divide. So I'm saying that stands for do math, darling. And that is how you can figure out how many balls of yarn you'll need, hopefully before you start your project, so that you can make sure you have everything in the same dye lot before you start. So I hope this was helpful, and see you next time.